Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I would like to start by wishing everyone joyeux Noel, as well as Merry Christmas to all on these final strokes of the parliamentary calendar for this year. I want to talk a little bit about the context of C58, and let's start where we know we have 100%, at least I would believe 100%. Agreement amongst all members and really probably amongst all Canadians, and that is we need more great paying union jobs in this country. And so I want to talk about how we get there and how we make sure that there are more great paying union jobs here in Canada. And the challenge is right now as a nation we have a productivity crisis in our country, and the productivity is what powers our economy. If you can imagine the country or the economy of the country as a business itself, if in fact the business is producing things efficiently and effectively, then guess what? Good wages, if there's a strong union in place, should follow. And that's exactly what we want for the nation. Unfortunately, our factory, that is our economy, is not keeping up with other OECD countries. And let's unpack productivity. What does that mean? Well, in layman's terms, it basically means how efficiently, how effectively are we delivering goods and service? How efficiently, how effectively is our economy running? And the answer is it's not great, unfortunately, because of a number of standards. So productivity in itself is basically a three-legged stool. One leg is technology, another is capital investment, and another is workers. And so we'll go through those stools those legs one by one, to make sure that we understand what the challenges are and why, unfortunately, this government is just not making the challenge. So first, let's start with technology. It makes sense, and it's been true since the Roman Empire and even before the Roman Empire. A society or an economy that has leading technology will have the ability to bring prosperity relative to the rest of the world to their shores. Unfortunately, in Canada, we have a government that is stifling technology and innovation. We have, for multiple years, in fact, going on almost a decade, we've been calling on this government for open banking legislation that was supposed to be here a year ago, a year before that, a year ago. Finally, in the fall economic statement, we got a promise for another promise to have open banking legislation. That was supposed to be here years and years ago. In the UK, open banking has saved customers, depending on which academic or which economist you approve, it could be $1 to $10 billion. That's money we're leaving on the table every year because this government can't get out of its own way. We look at legislation with respect to innovation. Around the world, there's lots of innovation about how we nurture these small or medium-sized technology companies and make them into the behemoths that they are. And unfortunately, in Canada, we're struggling with that. We have innovations like a patent box that are available to this government for a tool. We have special regulatory and tax breaks that we can give these companies, not just to move factories on our shores by giving multinationals billions and billions of dollars, but by creating it here at home. And we're failing there when it comes to the technology aspect. Another element of the technology world where we're letting people down is the real-time rail. So in fact, I believe it's all G7 countries, I might be incorrect, but in any rate, most G7 countries, they have a thing that's called real-time rail. So for you, those who are viewing at home, you go, well, what the heck is a real-time rail? Member from Northumberland, Peterborough South, and that's exactly what they said. That's exactly what they said. What is this real-time rail? Well, what it is it's just having money travel instantly. So you might say, you know what? Well, when I do an e-transfer to my friend for paying half the dinner bill, it seems to go immediately. That's the reality, is it seems to go immediately. It's actually what happens is that financial institutions are actually fronting the money, and then the money is coming back. Our current money transfer payment system is really held together by a duct tape and a dream. And it will break down, mark my words, at some point if we don't have some legislative innovation to allow a real-time rail system, which most of the other G7 and most of the OECD countries have. Why that's an issue is because the flows of capital, the flows of transfer are incredibly important to an innovation economy. We have some great startups, some great fintechs across this country, but this government seems to be doing everything it can to stifle their development. There's tremendous opportunities, and these are, by the way, these are not partisan issues. It was, I believe, both in the Liberal policy item as well as the Conservative policy items in the last election to have open banking. But we just need to deliver is the problem. And many times, my issue is not so much ideological with this government, it's just competency. These are things that every other country seems to get done, but this country can't. Secondly, the other leg I talked about was capital investment. When we look at capital investment, that is the money that powers the technology, that powers the worker. And we have decisions to make as a society as to how much money we have put into the public sector, which is incredibly important, and how much money we put in the private sector, which I would argue is just as important and if not more important, because the private sector is that economy. It's what's driving the money flow. If we don't have a vibrant private sector generating revenue and income for the rest of our economy, that means we won't have a vibrant public sector, because the taxes come from the private sector. They come from the small business owner who's working 20 out of 24 hours a day. But our current regulatory regime, as well as our taxation regime, is not fair to these individuals. And in fact, even this government's approach to business, it's stifling growth. It's preventing winning from happening. Because, and I say this not for partisan reasons per se, but it does sort of illuminate where this government stands with respect to business. When they called small business owners tax cheats, that doesn't just affect the bottom line, it also affects the way that people think about business. It shows the way that this government thinks about business. When in reality, without that strong business, without those entrepreneurs, without those doers in our society, we won't have the revenue that we need to fund our very important public sector programs. And then the final leg of which I'm going to talk about today is with respect to our workers. So our workers are, I think, in fact, I know, are the best in the world. We have so many intelligent, hardworking women and men across this great country that go to work every day. But what's happening to them is, over these last 8 years, I mean, it just isn't fair. I don't know how else to put it. So let's start by discussing what this government's doing directly, and then we can talk about what it's doing indirectly to our workers. So there's something called the marginal effective tax rate. What that marginal effective tax rate really means is how much do you pay for the next dollar to the government. And so that involves both taxation and clawbacks. It is still just shocking to me. It's shocking to me that we have Canadians earning less than $50,000 who on their next dollar earned will be giving upwards of 70, 80, even 90 cents back to a government. Can you imagine, for those of us who have children, imagine saying to them, you know what, I'm going to give you an allowance. Okay, I want you to shovel the snow, which is no doubt coming. I want you to rake the leaves or whatever, and I'm going to give you $10 an hour to do it. But oh, by the way, I'm going to take $9 an hour back. It's unbelievable the impact that would have in terms of the taking away from workers. So in sum, we need to improve the productivity of our country through reductions in red tape, reductions in taxation, so that we can have the productivity we need to make sure that there are great, high-paying union jobs across this country.